Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo. Glad you could join me today. It's actually August 1st. So what a trip. Already August 1st. We're cranking. We're on the backside of 2023 already. Seems to have gone by pretty quick, that's for sure. Anyway, hope you're doing well this morning. We're going to be in Job, 2 chapters today, 16 and 17. They're both pretty short, so it's not like it's going to be a long devotion, but, they just kind of run, together. So, Job's going to be answering his buddy Eli. And as we've seen, Eli's given Job good instruction, if you will, but it's really not the right instruction for the right time. And like a lot of our conversations, we kind of mess up in that we say kind of true statements, but we're not saying the true statements in the right context. And this is so interesting because I just find it fascinating, because a lot of times we think that if we just share truth, then we're right. And that seems to be kind of a consistent theme we hear a lot of times, that, hey, man, I shared the truth. Hey, man, I'm just sharing the truth. But if it's not really done with the right heart, the motivation, it can hurt, and it can be really not the right thing to say. So Job speaks up to Eliphaz, or Eli for short, and he says, "Then Job spoke again, I have heard all this before. What miserable comforters you are." I guess this morning we could say, hey, let's not be miserable comforters. How am I at comforting people that are in need? That's something to think about and something to ponder. Am I a joy to be around in tough times, or am I a challenge? Do I talk too much? Am I just constantly bothering the people that are grieving or that are needing comfort? Or do I just listen? Or can I listen? But am I someone that people would want around when it's difficult? I guess that's kind of the thought. Job says, hey, you guys are miserable comforters. You won't ever stop blowing won't you ever stop blowing hot air? What makes you keep on talking? I could say the same things if you were in my place. I could spout off criticism and shake my head at you. But if it were me, I would encourage you. I would try to take away your grief. Wow. Encouragement. What does the Bible say about encouragement? I think of one all the time. Encourage one another, as it's called today. What a good passage, and a good reminder that, man, we can really get discouraged, and we can really discourage others pretty easy with our mouth. How have you used your mouth? Did you discourage someone? Did someone try to open up to you and share something? They showed some vulnerability to you, let's say. And then what did you do? You just blasted them with some negative response. You criticized them. You put them down. You really jabbed it in. Yeah, you were telling the truth. Yeah, you were telling them, the whole truth, nothing but the truth kind of thing. But you really hurt them. You really put them down. That's a bummer. But I think if you look into your life, you'll find a lot of that. And he says, instead I suffer if I defend myself, and I suffer no less if I refuse to speak. O God, you have ground me down and devastated my family. Woo, honesty to the Lord. As if to prove I have sinned, you've reduced me to skin and bones. My gaunt flesh testifies against me. Paula says, one act of kindness and lifting each other up is the way to be. Amen. That's it. And that's why we got our Comment Corner crew, is to hopefully encourage people, right? Lift one another up. That's right. Encourage each other. Because Job says, hey, man, you've reduced me to skin and bones. Gosh, what a sad statement to the Lord, right? You've reduced me to nothing. I'm not what I used to be. What a reflection. We're all going to say that at one time. We're not what we used to be. And boy, do I want my mind to be ready for that. It says, God hates me angrily, tears me apart. He snaps his teeth at me and pierces me with his eyes. People jeer and laugh at me. They slap my cheek in contempt. It's like Job seeing himself like in a mob. It says a mob gathers against me, like God's a part of that mob that's against him. He sees like, man, who can again go against God? If God's not for you, then what are you going to do? You can't do nothing. It's like being jumped. When you're jumped, right? By definition, man, you're jumped. It's a vulnerable place, a vulnerable time, a place of defeat. And Job is feeling that kind of utter defeat before God. And notice, though, he shares about it. He doesn't hold it in. I love that. Maybe a remedy to our sadness and our time of grief is to share the burden, is to talk about it. And Job certainly is. I was living quietly until he shattered me. He took me by the neck and broke me in pieces. He has set me up as his target, and his archers surround me. His arrows pierce me without mercy. The ground is wet with my blood. Again and again he smashes me against me, charging me like a warrior. I wear burlap to show my grief. My pride lies in the dust. Yeah, our pride is going to take a hit, at some point in our life. When that time comes where we realize that, our body is nothing but skin and bones. And we are just a little bit of an image of what we once were. Our pride will take that hit. It's good to start humbling ourselves and live a life of humility than pride. It says, "Yet I have done no wrong." So Job's declaration is, I haven't done anything wrong. And my prayer is pure. O earth, do not conceal my blood. Let it cry out on my behalf. Ooh, other passages sound like this. The blood on the ground cries out, right? Let my blood cry out that I am innocent, that I haven't done anything. It's not that Job was sinless, blameless. Yeah, not sinless. There's a difference. And it says, my friends scorn me, and I pour out my tears to God. I need someone to mediate between God and me, as a person mediates between friends. For soon I must go down that road from which I will never return. Hey, I'm going to go down a road. A jump is to come, and I need a mediator. And I love this. Job so long ago just understands that there is this giant gap between him and the deity, that he's going to really need God. He needs a mediator between him and God. And who is that mediator? We learned about that. That's Jesus, right? Jesus is the mediator. This is what the Bible says, is that there's one mediator between God and man, the man Christ Jesus. That's right. This is why Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. This is why Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. He is the mediator. He is the bridge. He is the ladder, right? He is the door. Jesus, all of these statements are in light of Job's cry, the blood that cries out saying there needs to be a mediator. Well, Jesus came on the scene, and he is that mediator. So Job continues in chapter 17. It says, my spirit is crushed and my life is nearly snuffed out. The grave is ready to receive me, and I am surrounded by mockers. I watch how bitterly they taunt me. Sounds like Jesus a lot, huh? Being mocked for your behavior. Even though Job was right, he was still mocked. Sometimes we might be right, really right, and we get mocked and we get looked upon kind of weird, or people even mistreat us. We saw what happened to Jesus. He was mistreated so much they literally crucified him. Wow. It's amazing how our hearts can get so radically angry, how when a mob comes in, right, we can join the mob and go and do the most heinous acts, and we don't think much of it. It's amazing how that works. We think of all the atrocities of different dictators over the years, and it's funny, when it was happening, people just kind of faded out. They kind of spaced out. It wasn't until later they realized just how horrendous of acts were done. And maybe we're living in that day and age as well. It says, you must defend my innocence, O God, since no one else will stand up for me. All my friends are not standing up for me. God, you need to defend me. You need to be my defender. You have closed their minds to understanding, but do not let them triumph. They betray their friends for their own advantage, so let their children faint with hunger. Woo! Paul says, you know what? Punish them. That's what Job speaks very openly to God about, punishing his friends, punishing these people who are mocking him, and that they take advantage of his grief and they exalt themselves. And it's amazing how we can put others down, and what we're really doing is trying to exalt ourselves, right? We take advantage of someone's bad fortune, right? Their whatever's going on, their judgment, their discipline, whatever you want to call it, whatever's happening to them, sometimes we could take advantage of them. And that is not a good attitude. It's not a Christ attitude, that's for sure. And this is what Job is seeing in his day. Do I have that kind of attitude? When people are down and out, do I want to take advantage of them so that I could gain? You know, is that kind of envy in my heart, that kind of striving, that kind of just wickedness? I would like to think not. But I've read the Bible, and I know it says the heart of a human is deceitfully wicked. So I know, man, we got some issues. So Michael Rodriguez says, we are just dust. Or for us that are old, we are old dirt bags. That's great. That's great. Yeah, skin and bones, Job says. My eyes are swollen with weeping, and I am but a shadow of my former self. The virtuous are horrified when they see me, the innocent rise up against the ungodly. Yeah, they say they're innocent, and they rise up against me, the ungodly. They think I'm ungodly because why? I've been punished. And hey, you reap what you sow, bro. You know? Again, they all use great, they're all talking great theology. It's just wrong context. As for all of you, come back with a better argument. Though I still won't find a wise man among you, my days are over. My hopes have disappeared, my heart's desires are broken. These men say that night is day, they claim that the darkness is light. What if I go to the grave and make my bed in darkness? What if I call the grave my father, and the maggot my mother or my sister? Where then is my hope? Can anyone find it? You know, if I listen to their wisdom, it's just going to be like blackness. It's going to be like darkness. It's going to make no sense. It's not going to help me, you know. What is it going to help if I listen to you, friends, and all you're saying to me? You know, it doesn't sound like it's really good for me. It doesn't sound very encouraging. If I were to follow you and what you're saying, it would just lead me to more destruction, you know, more grief. And Job's expressing this. You know, do I pay attention to things that lead me into more grief? Do I pay attention to people that are sharing things that just make me more sad, you know, more bummed? You know, who am I listening to? Or am I listening to the Lord's voice? Don't let your heart be troubled, man. Believe in God. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house are many mansions. For it were not so, I would have told you. And I go and prepare a place for you. Such cool words, such awesome words of hope for us that have no hope on this earth, right? Knowing that you just live and then you die, as we saw in Ecclesiastes at the end. So it says, let's see, verse 9, the righteous keep moving forward, and those with clean hands become stronger and stronger. As for all of you, come back with a better argument, though I still won't find a wise one among you. I've already said that. He talked about the graves. And then he says, where's my hope? Can anyone find it? Verse 15, no, my hope will go down with me to the grave. We will rest together in the dust. Job says, we're both going to go down. We're both going to die. And that's where it's at. So Job ends chapter 17 in a pretty sad state. He's had all of his friends share at least once, Eli twice, and now we're going to see Bildad come back for a second round and respond to Job. Job makes it clear that, hey, man, if I'm listening to you guys, it's really not going to benefit me. You guys think you're right, but if you were in my shoes, you would be doing the same thing. Sometimes we don't realize that. If we were in those people's shoes, maybe we would be doing the same thing too. It makes me think that, God, I got to be kind of slower to judge, slower to react, and really take a step back. It's a book of discernment. Take a step back, think through things a little more. Take a little time of meditation and just think through it. Always remember that Jesus is our hope because he's our mediator, and he's the one who helps us out. He's the one who's made a way for us to get into the place where God is at. This God who Job knows you can't hang out with because he's righteous. And that's the problem. You got to have a mediator. So Job's understanding so much about what the Bible teaches, even though he doesn't have it, right? It's not like he's got it. But he observes and just can see that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with us as humans. There's something in us that's wrong. There's something outside in our world that's wrong. Everything is decaying. There is definitely a longing for paradise, but we just can't seem to find it. And that longing tells us that, man, there's really something there. Because if there wasn't, why would we even long for it? It's really interesting, right? It's like we have this remnant of something that's true in us, that there is a better place. And it's just in our hearts. So even at memorials where, people die and they don't necessarily have a strong religious background at all, they'll be like, oh, well, they're in a better place. Well, I'm glad they're in a better place. They always say that. Such a hope in us, right? So humans are hardwired for that hope. That's for sure. And that's probably why we pursue everything we pursue on the planet. All the pleasures that we pursue. It's simply to feel that, to get to that place where we feel right, complete. So Jesus offers us a better way. He says that we are, or Paul said in the book of Colossians, that we are complete in him. In him, right? That's right. We are complete. So very cool. We need to be praying for our people in government instead of making fun of them. That's right. That is so right. 1 Timothy chapter 2. That's right. We can make fun. They can make fun of me. I can make fun of them. We could all do that. We could all do videos on making fun of people, right? But let's leave that to comedians, right? That's their job, right? But it's not our job unless you're a comedian. And then us, hey, we could pray, right? And we could learn how to minister to those in our neighborhood and those in our town. And maybe we just start simply there, right? So I love these devotions. I love, going through the Word, and I'm glad you guys could join me today. So you guys take care, okay? Have a good one. Bye-bye.